traumatic injury is a term that refers to a severe physical injury that occurs suddenly and unexpected and requires immediate medical attention. Injuries are a part of an athlete's life. Playing a sport often comes with the risk of injury. Common injuries prone to sports include concussions, ACL tears, PCL tears, hip flexors tears, and shoulder or elbow injuries. Any of these injuries can cause trauma and greatly affect an athlete mentally. Like mentioned before, they happen unexpectedly and can happen at the first game of the season or in a championship game. A traumatic injury causes stress and could lead to depression and isolation, or it can be so traumatic that the athlete refuses to return to play. Being on the sidelines is probably the hardest part of coping with an injury. They can even lead to the end of one's athletic career. For example, a college pitcher who is a prospect for the major leagues blows out his shoulder in the playoffs of his last game. Some questions he might ask himself might be, why me? Will I get to play again, or will I compete on the same level? Traumatic injuries might make it difficult for the athlete to accept it and move on from it. This can take time, but with proper rehab and patience, it can be overcome. Here, I included some athletes that I know and asked them to introduce themselves and answer the following questions. What was the injury and how did it happen? What were your first thoughts? What helped you accept the circumstances of the injury? What was the hardest part of the process and the recovery? And how did you or how are you overcoming it physically and or mentally?
Hi, my name is Kitten Campbell and I play soccer. I just recently graduated from Channel Islands University and I was lucky enough to play soccer there. I played there for my junior and senior year, and during one of the games of my senior year I fell and I broke my elbow. When it first happened, I almost immediately knew that I had broken it or I had done something severely wrong to it, so we headed to urgent care and we took x-rays, and sure enough, my elbow ended up being broken. I had also dislocated it and one of the bones had got jammed into my socket. So the original plan was to get surgery on it, but then I got a call from my doctor and he told me that if I didn't start moving my arm right away, that I would never be able to move it again and that I would be disabled for the rest of my life. So my only option then became to start physical therapy on a freshly broken arm. And as you can imagine, that was very painful and very disheartening, because it got to the point where it was hard for me to remember that this was all only temporary and that I would get better. I think that was probably one of the most difficult parts to overcome, was just remembering that it will get better and that I can get through this. And I think once you accept that you have an injury, it becomes a lot easier to then push through the pain and do whatever it takes to get where you need to be. I think attitude and positivity has a lot to do with the healing process, and once you start believing that you will get better and that you can get better, there's a lot better chance that you will. And so that's what I did. I pushed through the pain and I kept my head up, and I was able to end up playing my last few games of my senior year, and here I am. Still not 100%, but I'm working at it, and that's all you can do.
Injury happened, I believe, late 2012, early 2013. What happened was our season had just ended, and we all agreed to, go play a game of scrimmage with the girls from the local high school. This game was on turf, and I absolutely hate turf now because of this. There's a 50-50 ball, and this girl was running towards me, and she didn't really look like she was going towards the ball. She kind of looked like she was running towards me. So I was like, "What did I do to this girl?" So my cleat got stuck in the turf, and because my cleat got stuck, I completely turned my body, and my foot was stuck in the turf. So I just felt my knee completely pop out of place. And it was so extremely painful. My first thoughts were, shit, my life is over. This hurts so bad. I'm done. I knew it was done right away, and I knew it was my ACL too. I feel like anyone who plays soccer kind of like knows when you hurt your knee. I feel like you kind of know what's going on, and I just knew right away I tore my ACL because that pain was so unbearable, and I knew something was wrong. What helped me accept the injury? To this day, I still haven't really accepted it because I just feel like I've missed out on so much, so many opportunities and so many things that I could have done. At the same time that I hurt myself, I was also in a very abusive relationship, and I was constantly being told, you need to lose weight, you need to get back on it, you need to go back to playing soccer. And I was like, I can't, my knee is messed up, I can't do anything. So because of that, I wasn't really able to fully accept what happened to me, because I kept trying to get back on it. I tried to go to the gym, I tried to play soccer again, but I was way too afraid. I actually ended up going back to the gym, and I hurt my knee again because I didn't give my knee the proper time to heal. So I had to go back in again to get surgery because I messed it up. I was very impatient, and I was told this injury takes about 6 months to a year to heal, and I was going back to the gym maybe 2 months later. So I didn't give myself enough time to heal. The hardest part of recovery was probably watching all my teammates play without me, and just knowing that I missed out on so many opportunities because of this injury, and as well as the pain. The pain was so horrible during physical therapy, and being told that I needed to constantly move it or else it was going to get stuck like that. I think they said something like that. It was extremely painful, mentally, physically. I didn't know that I could handle that much pain.
Hey, my name is Albert. I got hurt playing basketball at the Student Recreation Center at CSUN about 3 years ago. I was on a fast break, and somebody undercut me and kind of like pushed me towards the bleachers, and with the twist, and my head hit the concrete part of the steps, and I cracked my head open. My first thought, I was obviously mad. We all would be if it was a dirty play. I was kind of scared though right after, because somebody said, hey, like, you're bleeding, and I was like, oh shit. I checked, and yeah, I was gushing blood. And then not even like 5 minutes later, my back started stiffening up, and that's when I actually got really scared, because I just, not being able to walk would suck. What helped you accept the circumstances of the injury? You kind of just have to, like it's part of the risk we have every day when we, play sports. It's, as an athlete, we know it going into it. We can get hurt, in everyday life, and at least I got hurt doing something I love, so it is what it is. What was the hardest part of the process in recovery? Being bedridden. It sucks. Like, I hate being in my room. Yeah, I'm not a TV lover. My back was healing, my shoulder was healing, and obviously my head. They told me I was getting hot flashes when I went outside, and I tried to train or go back to working out after 2 months, and just couldn't. I had to wait 4 months, but it's still pretty quick. Not that bad. How are you overcoming it physically and mentally? Physically, well, I go to the gym or just play sports or something physical pretty much every day, at least 6 days a week for sure, for a couple hours at least. So when it's something you love, you don't get scared of getting hurt again. It's just your passion. You don't worry about what if, then that would be boring. And yeah, mentally, I guess, yeah, same thing. Like I just said, you can't think of the past. You can't worry what's gonna happen, and you gotta just go out there and play and do what you love. And I think the day that you don't want to play anymore and you can't overcome it physically or mentally, you're just done. It's not your love, and maybe it's on to the next step in your life. And yeah.
Overcoming a traumatic injury is a huge, rewarding accomplishment, but comes with the fear of a re-injury. Reducing the risks of a re-injury might include the athlete maintaining their athletic identity, taking the proper amount of time off to focus on the rehab, and having a healthy, positive support system. Traumatic injuries can't be avoided, but it's part of the game, and it's something that the athletes are willing to risk. It can be scary, but at the same time, it can lead to one's greatest comeback.